So again, my name is Daigan. Coming to you from Ramatusha land, also known as San Francisco. I'm going to start with a little poem. Some of you may have heard me read this poem before. To all that is chaotic in you, let there come silence. Let there be a calming of the clamoring, a stilling of the voices that have laid their claim on you, that have made their home in you, that go with you even to the holy places, but will not let you rest, will not let you hear your life with wholeness or feel the grace that fashioned you. Let what distracts you cease. Let what divides you cease. Let there come an end to what diminishes and demeans, and let depart all that keeps you in its cage. Let there be an opening into the quiet that lies beneath the chaos, where you find the peace you did not think possible, and see what shimmers within the storms. I wanted to talk today a bit about how do we practice while it can feel as if the world is on fire. We have wars and laws being passed against our people, laws being rolled back, safety nets that we thought we had are not there. And then there's the personal: old age, sickness, and death. And I think I woke up this morning and I just thought, as I sat down, it took me so long to just calm myself. And I thought about something that my friend Rod Owens posted yesterday. He said, Dharma and the path to liberation is complex and full of contradictions. For instance, I don't have to like you to want you to be free from suffering. Moreover, though I want you to be free from suffering, I can still want you to be held accountable for your violence, and call this compassion. I think that sometimes as Buddhists, we think that and sometimes our teachers even tell us that we always must be kind, or we always must, that compassion is forgiving and, allowing and all of this stuff. And I just want to say bullshit. I think it's really important for us to remember that what is truly compassionate is, and what is truly liberatory, is to have an authentic expression of whatever is happening. In a lot of Zen circles, they say enlightenment is an appropriate response. And so I ask you, what is an appropriate response? And how do I find that for myself? Because that's the other real important sticking point. That my appropriate response is formed and clouded by my place in the world as a white, cisgendered, masculine presenting man. My appropriate response is going to be different than someone who is not those things. For Black, Indigenous, and women of color right now, a a lot of my friends have been saying, oh, if you're surprised, you haven't been paying attention to what we've been saying. So what is an appropriate response? And how do I bring myself to a place where I can hear that voice that tells me what my appropriate response is? Where I can hear the heart that says, oh, wait, compassion in this moment means I'm going to hold you accountable. That I'm not going to forgive you. Maybe compassion is I'm going to have really strong boundaries and not allow you into my space or into my life. And that's the compassionate response. I think we think that because something is true for me, then that must be true for everyone. And we sometimes mistakenly universalize our experience. But this is the nature of Buddhism, is that it's not about the universal. It's not about anyone else's experience. We always must stop and turn the light on our own experience in this moment. Not our experience yesterday, not our experience tomorrow, but right now in this moment. What's it like to be me? Can I start to still the voices that have laid claim on me so that I can hear the real voice of my own practice, of my own internal measuring stick or marker that says, this is who I want to be. That invites us to get closer and closer and closer to what it means to have an appropriate response. And that's the other piece about this, is that what is an appropriate response today may not be the same as it will be tomorrow. Because we have to just keep sitting down and asking ourselves, what's it like to be me? Can I have the experience I'm having while I'm having it? And can I let that inform me into a response? And so I love this. By the way, the poem was by Jan L. Richardson. And I love what she talks about here, because it's this invitation to settle and get quiet so that we can hear. What we didn't think possible. Let there be an opening into the quiet that lies beneath the chaos, where you find the peace you did not think possible. And one thing that I'm learning over time is that that peace only comes when I'm being intentional and doing the internal work of the internal work of being a person in the world and learning how to hear the difference between the voices that someone else put in my body and my mind and the voices of something genuine from within my own heart, gut, ancestors, whatever, that voice that is mine. Thich Nhat Hanh used to say, what was your face before your parents were born? I think that's where that voice comes from, right? Like that's the voice, because it gets rid of all of the opinions and judgments and thoughts and ideas I have about my experience, and opens me up into something more genuine, something more quiet. I start to have the experience I'm having while I'm having it, and I start to notice and watch the thoughts that arise and pass away, and I notice where they come from. What thoughts are mine and which ones were put there by someone else. As queer people, we have so, oh my goodness, the amount of thoughts that have been put in my mind and in my body. How do I start to see underneath that? How do I start to not fight with those, but make peace with those? That I can start to see underneath those, that I can drop into that quiet place. I spent a lot of years fighting those, arguing with my own thoughts and ideas and opinions. Fighting with your thoughts and ideas and opinions. I used to go to my teacher all the time and be like, I'm really struggling with blah, 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 blah. And he would go, well, stop struggling. And after I stopped cussing him in my head, I started to see his point, which is those voices and those ideas and those thoughts may never leave my experience. But that doesn't mean I have to follow every one of them. That doesn't mean I have to give them any more power or volition or control over the choices I make about an appropriate response. And that is how we get to a place where I cannot like you and still wish for your liberation. And it's not like some ploy of like, oh yeah, I really hope you find some freedom, right? But really, genuinely, like, oh, I really hope that you can find liberation. Because those voices have less power in my life these days. All of the training and socialization, I'm actively working on making sure that I can continually unearth them and give them air and give them space enough that I don't have to fight with them, but I also don't have to follow every one of them. Enlightenment is an appropriate response. How do I find an appropriate response? Sometimes I'm really good at it, and other times I'm not. But I just keep showing up. I just keep returning and returning and returning. What's it like to be me?